Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Chris. Tonight's video is all about the yummy, delicious note of caramel. Listen, I love all fragrances, but I'm a gourmand girly at heart, and even if they're not trendy anymore, I'm going to be wearing my gourmand fragrances. You better believe it. It's been a couple years since I did a caramel video, and I'm here to show maybe some oldies but goodies and some new perfumes that I hardly ever talk about or have only spoken about a couple times. But before I get started, if you love caramel like I do, let us all know down below some of your favorite fragrances that feature the note of caramel. And with that, I'm going to get started. Sometimes, you don't know that you love a fragrance as much as you do until you smell it on someone else. And that is the case with this perfume right here. My daughter has been wearing this perfume nonstop, and I get a little giggle. I mean, she's a teenager. This has been her gym scent. And every time she goes out the door to go to the gym, I'm like, oh my gosh, Holly, you smell so good. You smell like caramel pop. It makes me laugh that this is her gym scent, and she goes out the door smelling so delicious. But I really didn't realize I loved it as much as I did until I smelt it on her like every day. And this has been her fragrance throughout December and January. And I didn't know like how a gourmand fragrance like this would work when she was going to the gym. She only sprays like 1 or 2 times. And we recently did an exercise class, and I was right next to her, and I was like, oh my gosh, Holly, you smell so good. I kept trying to get closer to her to get a nice little sniff. But this is a caramel popcorn fragrance, but the popcorn is like a buttery popcorn. You took butter popcorn, and then my mouth is watering. I have a feeling my mouth is going to water a lot in this video. And you drizzled caramel on top, like a honeyed caramel. To me, this has a honeyed quality to it, like there's honey in here. I don't know if honey's listed, but I do get a honey. So like a honeyed caramel and some like dried fruits in the background. And that's basically what it is. It is light wearing. It is sweet and gourmand, but light wearing. So even though it's, has a lot of very gourmand elements, it doesn't, it's not going to knock your socks off or really offend the person next to you unless you kind of go to town with it. Another one, I don't think I've mentioned this. I think I've only mentioned this once. It is a beautiful, very fancy fragrance that contains the note of caramel, vanilla, and coconut. And it is Madera by Ormonde Perfumes. This is a gorgeous fragrance. To me, this is as if Escapade Gourmand and Bianco Latte were combined. They came together, and then you added a beautiful note of coconut. So it's vanillic. It has a beautiful vanillic caramel sweetness with the addition of a coconut note. Honestly, if you had this one alone, you could get rid of Bianco Latte and you could get rid of Escapade Gourmand, because it's kind of like the best of both worlds. And I happen to love coconut, so I absolutely adore this. The only difference, like Bianco Latte is much stronger. This is much more demure. Again, I don't care about performance, but I love the little extra complexity, and I do love that little hint of coconut in Madera. It's beautiful. Okay, I'm going to go with some affordable ones. I always like to try to have some or show some affordable fragrances. I try to kind of run the gamut. Speaking of Bianco Latte, I don't have Bianco Latte anymore. I used to have it. There was something in there that smelled like, minty and plasticky, minty and grassy, and I just didn't love it because of that. I ended up buying Eclair just because I wanted to, try or sample a good dupe, or what I heard was a good dupe of Bianco Latte. And I am in the minority in that I'm not always a huge fan of Middle Eastern fragrances. I have found that you have to kiss a lot of frogs to get to the prince or the princess. And many times you spend more money trying to track down a good dupe or impression, and you would have spent the same amount just getting the one perfume that you really liked. But this is one of and so because of that, I don't have that many Middle Eastern fragrances, because the vast majority of the time they are more of a disappointment and just very, I don't know, they're very artificial and they don't smell good on me per se. This one is the exception. I think Eclair by Lattafa is a fantastic dupe or impression, and one of the few times where actually the impression I might like just a little bit better. It's not as strong as Bianco Latte. It has decent lasting power. It's very, very good in the lasting power. And again, it has that, you know, milky caramel, honey, vanillic, you know, fragrance note composition. But this one, I don't get that minty, grassy note that I did in Bianca Latte, which I just didn't like. It still has that teensy bit of a, you know, plasticky doll head thing going on. It's a little bit toned down compared to Bianca Latte, maybe because Bianca Latte is such a beast mode scent. But I would say a very, very good impression, one of the better Middle Eastern impressions, and that's why I still have it to this day. I'm not a big body spray person. I just rather have the perfume, and I sometimes would rather just do the body cream because body sprays are just so fleeting and light. But I do love the, you know, the Cheirosa line, and one of the most delicious ones in the line is this one, Brazilian Crush number 71. To me, this smells like a, you know, a macadamia nut cookie with caramel drizzled on the top. It is absolutely delicious, and I've always said that if they ever came out with a body cream, they needed to come out with a body cream. I would just like put goggles on, a snorkel, and just swim around. I could just live in a body cream like that, and they did come out with it. So I'm going to be purchasing the body cream, because when a body cream is very fragrant and rich, oftentimes that's all I need, and it's a good way to get some sneaky scent in at work without overpowering your coworkers. So I think some really good priced fragrances that feature the note of caramel that are quite delicious. Two very beautiful niche fragrances that do caramel or caramel perfectly are the two that I have in front of me. One of them is by Fragrance du Bois, Minuit et Demi. This is caramel. This is vanilla. I think it has some sort of vegetable. I want to say pimento in here, amber, coffee, spices. And I want to say the spice in here that's most prominent is cardamom. It's a beautiful scent. It is a gourmand scent, but not overly sweet. And it's not overly foody because it has some balancing notes. I want to say those balancing notes are, it has tobacco, it has a little bit of an earthiness from vetiver, and it has a little bit of a woody base, either oud or cedar. You know, all Fragrance du Bois typically have, you know, oud in there. I would say it's more like a cedarwood, sandalwood thing. It's beautiful, it's stunning, it's sweet but not overly sweet, certainly not cloying. Very similar to Minuit et Demi is this one right here. It is, it's probably my favorite. I'm gonna get in a lot of trouble when I say this. It's my favorite Navitus fragrance. Yes, I'm gonna get a ton of comments for that. Anyways, hear me out. This is a gourmand masterpiece, and I did not talk about it for the longest time. This is called Raised Spirits. I was so speechless, I forgot if I had named the actual fragrance or not. But this is in, you know, this was Stephen from Redolescence. This was his collaboration. A literal masterpiece. I did not talk about it because it was just sold out for the longest time. And I talked about it in one recent video. I didn't even show it. And then it just popped up for briefly on the website. There were a couple bottles left. They sold out like that. I'm waiting for it to come back in stock because it's a beautiful fragrance. It is very, very similar to Minuit et Demi, but I prefer Raised Spirits more. It is a caramel fragrance, but it also has this pimento leaf. I think this is pimento. This is pimento leaf, and the differences are this pimento leaf has a beautiful pepperiness to it, like a green pepper or a black pepper. It is so, it's like that salty sweet thing. It's gonna make my mouth water. I love that salty sweet thing, and this has that salty sweet thing with the pepper juxtaposed to the caramel. Lots of, you know, lots of spirits. I want to say rum, cognac, something like that. Caramel, brown sugar, a lot of gourmand notes. So it is a gourmand fragrance, again, without being too sweet, without being too cloying. Utterly spectacular. Absolutely love it. Again, so the main differences are the pimento leaf is a little bit more peppery. I do think that this is going to lean, people are going to think in a traditional sense, this is going to lean more feminine. It's lighter, it's more airy, it's not as dense. This is more spicy, it has that pepper. It's richer, it's more dense. So those are the differences. If I had to choose one, I'm gonna choose this one, but they're both quite beautiful, delicious interpretations of the caramel note. Okay, and for my viewers, my subscribers who only like cleanly formulated fragrances, I don't think I've ever spoken about this one. This is Vanilla Woods by the Seven Virtues. I think this is a very, very good fruity vanilla. This is, you know, easy to get. I got mine at Sephora, and I want to say the fruit in here is pear. So it's like a pear, vanilla, very subtle florals. I want to say it's rose, and you know what? Maybe it has incense in here. It has a very nice smokiness to it, maybe like a bruleed pear or a grilled pear. So like a slightly smoky pear paired with a vanilla, like a nice vanilla. So a slightly smoky, fruity vanilla with barely any florals. And it kind of reminds me of Ariana Grande Mod, which I think is one of the best celebrity fragrances. I bought that for my daughter because she wanted that one and she loves it. But a very, very nice fruity vanilla if you are looking. Oh, and it is sweetened. Hello, video. It is sweetened with a nice caramel sweetness. So this does have caramel in the mix. It is sweet, but not overly sweet. So, I mean, a lovely, cleanly formulated fragrance. These fragrances typically don't have terrific performance. In fact, some of them I can't even get to last a half an hour. This one really does well. No problem with performance. Okay, one I talk about all the time is one of my favorite fragrances to wear in the wintertime, the gorgeous Sugar Leather. This is for people who like Angel Share but thought it was too sweet, too dense, too rich, too cloying. This is in that, you know, cinnamon apple pie kind of a thing. This is a cinnamon bomb, and it does have that apple pie thing going on. It's caramel, it's cinnamon. There's leather, but the leather is just, it smells so good. It's not overly animalic. It's present, but it just doesn't overtake the fragrance. A little bit of amber, you know, amber caramel sweetness, and it has this little bit of a dried fruit thing, and maybe that's where I'm getting the apple pie vibe or the fruit pie vibe kind of a thing. So sweet and delicious, but not overly sweet. And I just, I find it so terrific in the colder weather. A fragrance that I don't talk about a ton. This is called Sana by Blended Oud or Blend Oud. This is a citrusy vanilla, very similar to Lyra. They're very, very similar. In fact, I've worn them side by side. I think I did 2 or 3 days side by side. When you wear them side by side, that's when the differences come out. So Lyra has a note of blood orange. This one does too. They both have caramel, blood orange, vanilla. However, when I wear this smells more orange to me, whereas Lyra comes out more lemony. In fact, when I first had Lyra, I thought it was lemon. It smelled like a lemon pound cake, not like an orange pound cake. This one is more orange, Lyra's more lemony. I want to say this one has some like spices and aromatics that Lyra does not have. This has a little teensy hit of lavender way in the background. This has some cinnamon, but a terrific citrusy vanilla with spices and a little bit of aromatics. Neither one of them are powerhouses, but I remember the first time I wore this, I sprayed this on my bathrobe, and I could smell it for like days and days and days. So you don't need both. It's like one or the other. I happened to choose Santa, and I got this for a really, really good deal on Max Aroma, and I think I got it right around $100, which is significantly more affordable than Lyra. What else do I have? Is there only one more left? Oh my gosh. Yeah, one more left. And the last one that I've saved is Lait de Vanille by Chabot. Another, you know, this is a relatively affordable fragrance for being a niche fragrance. I want to say I spent around, I almost said $1,000. $100 for this perfume, and I don't think a whole lot of notes are listed. Caramel is definitely one of them. Vanilla is definitely one of them. But what I get from this perfume, even though I don't think marshmallow is listed, I get a fluffy marshmallow vanilla cookie, like a wafer, like a fluffy marshmallow vanilla wafer dunked in a sweet milk, like a milk sweetened with caramel and honey. That's it. That's what I get. Pretty straightforward, very gourmand, somewhat linear, light and airy, very delicious. I don't wear this a ton. This may be on the chopping block just because, not because I don't like the way it smells, but because I haven't been reaching for it. And that was it. Those are some of the fragrances that I have that feature the note of caramel. I have lots of perfumes that contain the note of caramel, but these feature, so it has to be one of the main notes in these perfumes. Thanks again for sticking around. Thanks for watching. If I didn't mention your favorite fragrance that features the note of caramel, let us all know down in the comments. Thanks to everybody who always stops by, who always gives me a like, a thumbs up, and subscribes to my channel. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. And with that, I will see you on the next one. Tomorrow is February, and I can't wait to make some videos around that February 14th holiday. I am thinking, well, I'm thinking caramel, that's why I did this video, but I'm thinking maybe chocolate, I'm thinking roses, and some romantic type of fragrances that just say romance. So with that, I will see you on the next one.